Good afternoon, and welcome to the Inside Story. I'm Alan McKillop. I am subbing for Bill Davis today, and we have a special guest, Negash Abdelkader. I am a retired Episcopal priest living here in Manchester, member of the NAACP and a number of other progressive organizations locally and nationally, and we welcome Negash, whom I have known for quite a while. It might be an explanation that people would understand what halal and kosher mean, very similar things. And you have a wife, children, we're in school locally. So now tell us about yourself and what you're doing.
Well, Mr. Caleb, thank you for having me. My name is Negash Abdelkader. I am married with 3 children. My wife and I live in Goffstown. We own a single residence in Goffstown with 4.2 acres land zoned in agricultural district, where our house is surrounded. We live basically in a rural area of Goffstown, surrounded by wild animal refuge. And I'd like to tell you a little bit background about what we've been going through for the last 5 years. Since the beginning of 2008, my wife and I plan to use our property, zoned agriculture, for agricultural related purpose. In the beginning of 2008, first I went to Goffstown, met with Goffstown Code Enforcement Officer. My attorney and I first were instructed to apply for special exception. Many months later, I was told to apply for variance. We followed the rules and Goffstown zoning ordinance use. We were denied special exception because of town's attorney's opinion. After many years of running around, in May 2011, once again, we applied for a special exception and variance to operate a small animal facility to process goat, chicken, lamb in a manner consistent with the Muslim faith to produce halal meat. Halal meat is basically similar to kosher. Currently, there is no producer of halal meat in New Hampshire and in New England, forcing the Muslim faithful to ship their meat from far-fetched sources with all the consequent problems and inefficiency, instead of buying local and thereby supporting the local agricultural base. Our application is to operate a modest facility permitted in a zoned agricultural district of Goffstown, located in an area primarily rural. In our area, it is permitted the use of keeping livestock according to section 3.11J4 and 3.12A zoning ordinance law. Section 3.11 table J.6 of ordinance specifically permits the use of facility for processing animal products in the agricultural district by special exception in accordance with section 15.3.2. Moreover, Goffstown attorney on the court record stated that it is permitted in the applicant resident. On July 5th of 2011 ZBA hearing, we made a detailed presentation in support of our application for variance and special exception, presented testimony, evidence, stressed to the board the purpose and the need for halal animal processing facility. Number one, the proposed facility would comply with the spirit of Goffstown Master Plan. 2, that there is no New Hampshire halal meat producer. 3, there will be a substantial benefit to the local farmers and local economy. Buy local. 4, the proposed facility is in an agricultural district in a rural area that is not predominantly developed in a more remote area of Goffstown. 5th, the proposed facility would not create nuisance or hazards to vehicle or pedestrians that can be ameliorated. We also agreed to multiple conditions to avoid any possible impact to surrounding community and emphasized to follow all existing regulations, including the requirements set forth by the USDA and New Hampshire Department of Environment. 1, limited hours of operation. 2, no postage, no signage. 3, no retail sales in the premise in order to avoid unnecessary traffic. 4, increased screening. 5th, limitation of types of animal processed. 6, refrigerated storage for all byproducts. 7, above ground wastewater tank. We submitted the permit obtained from New Hampshire Department of Environment to the Goffstown board, to the ZBA. At the July 5th, 2011 meeting, the board voted to continue for the next public meeting on August 2nd, 2011. At the public hearing of August 2nd, 2011, we presented more evidence in support of our request for variance and special exception, including the traffic assessment, which concluded more than sufficient capacity for the proposed use, approximately 400 vehicles trips per day. The existing volume is approximately 120 per day. Only 20 out of 100 passers-by belongs to those 2 residents of Goffstown. After the 3rd meeting, the board issued a written decision stating that there would be no substantial justice in granting of variance. There would be a diminishing of value of the surrounding property. There is no hardship to the applicant, as his property is already used as a residence and property is not unique in its setting. Furthermore, the board voted to deny our application for a special exception, issued a written decision stating that it is not consistent with the master plan. The board illegally rezoned our property, wrongfully denied our application, imposes a substantial burden on our religious exercise in violation of religious land use. The board unreasonably and arbitrarily denied our application for variance despite the fact that we provided them with ample evidence and documents to support our application and presented during the hearing. Among other things, number one, we presented testimony as well as studies, and specifically presented that the property has sufficient acreage and frontage. 2, according to the ordinance according to the ordinance, both the residential use and animal processing facility are permitted in an agricultural district. 3, the board focused on testimony of a single abutter, denied the variance on a basis that a small animal processing facility would be unreasonable and use and unpleasant for the one residential house that may be added, doesn't even exist, that may be added to the abutting property. Like I said earlier on, we do not have neighbors. The closest neighbor is at least 11 to 1,200 feet away. The board also concluded that there is no hardship to the applicant against the weight of evidence presented to them. The board decision was contrary to the evidence presented to them, and New Hampshire law, Simplex Technology versus Town of Newington, case of 2001. Once again, the ZBA arbitrarily denied our application for a special exception given the evidence presented during the public hearing. The proposed facility is appropriate location and it is consistent with the Goffstown master plan, which encourages future master growth. 2. Goffstown master plan also encourages home occupation for residents of Goffstown, and my wife and I will be working in the processing facility. 3. The residential neighbors in the town of Bedford on Japahi Road who are no abutter is not exclusively residential. Raising livestock is permitted in its zoning, residential, agricultural. 4. Bedford zoning map along Bedford zoning ordinance was presented to the board with pictures of Japahi Road in Bedford farmhouse that includes livestock bordering Goffstown agricultural district. 5th, traffic assessment was submitted that the road has more than sufficient capacity to accommodate the traffic, and the limited size of the proposed facility will not create nuisance or hazardous to vehicle or pedestrians. 6. There will be a buffer to maximize the buffer area. The proposed facility will be located close to our house, away from the abutting property, an empty property. The board decision in denying special exception was not supported by evidence. It was based on emotional testimony with speculation of a poor operation of the facility. Merely speculation.
Now, let me just interrupt you for a minute. I know that you had actually gone all the way to the New Hampshire Supreme Court at one point, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
And that they cleared the way, so to speak, at that level, and then you came back to the town after that?
Yes, we did. Based on the New Hampshire Supreme Court, Hillsborough County Superior Court and New Hampshire Supreme Court, we have the legal right to use our property for animal processing facility, provided that we secure variance. The board illegally denied our property permitted agricultural use with no evidence to support that this permitted agricultural use was not fitting in character with the rest of neighborhood, despite the fact that there is an existing farming use nearby on Japahi Road in Bedford, and residents of Bedford complaining about agricultural use in our property in Goffstown. Furthermore, the ZBA ignored traffic assessment submitted on a public hearing and based their conclusions on their personal opinion of the board members. Furthermore, the board ignored testimony regarding the size and scope presented at the hearing. The testimony by a New Hampshire farmer with municipal planning experience stated that the size and the scope is reasonable for the proposed facility. The concerns of abutters ameliorate any traffic, odor, and noise was addressed by experienced environmental and municipal planning. Detailed testimony. Unfortunately, the board ignored the evidence presented. Contrary to the master plan, contrary to the town ordinance, and contrary to the state law, the board stated and ruled on the basis that the proposal for this project is in a residential neighborhood, ignoring its rural character in an agricultural district and ignoring New Hampshire Supreme Court ruling.